Hello everyone, if you're here, it's because you found my link or somebody shared this link. The reason I'm doing this is I've gifted my starter to a lot of people over the years, and I've invited them into my home, I've shown them how to do it, but then when they get home, sometimes they don't get to practice right away and they forget some of the steps. So I thought this would be easier. I can refer them to this video, they can watch the steps. And as anything else with sourdough, you can tweak this recipe. You can you may find a method that's easier for you. I'm not a baker by naturally. I started making sourdough bread at least 6 years ago for a dietary reason. The ordinary bread wasn't agreeing with me anymore, and I'd heard a lot of things about sourdough. So this video starts on the premise that you have a starter, that you fed it this morning and that it's ready to go. If you don't have a starter, if somebody hasn't gifted you a starter and you need to start from scratch, I'll link down below Teresa Greenway's 14-day series on how to make your own starter. That's how I started many years ago. And since then, I've just kept my starter alive. I haven't named my starter. Some people name their starters. I haven't. But I've had this starter for at least 6 years. And I tend to bake, as you can see over here, 2 loaves at a time. And I'll bake for multiple days so that I can have 8 or 9 loaves in the freezer, and then I put my starter in the refrigerator, and I don't bake again until my supply gets low, or my son's stolen all my bread, or something. The process is longer than making a traditional white bread. However, I enjoy it. It really doesn't take that much time as far as, it may take all day, but I'm not sitting or standing at the counter all day. So let's get started. So I used to mix everything by hand. However, as I'm getting older, my hands are sore. So the first part I do in my stand mixer. So I just have a kitchen scale from Walmart. I think that's where I got it. But just an ordinary kitchen scale, a cheap one. As long as it can tar out to 0, that's what you need. Now, for you guys to be able to see, maybe I'll put it this way. So I'll put this on and I'll press it. So it's ready to go, has to be in grams. And we weigh everything with sourdough because I'm not into the math that much. Some people on certain groups will go into the math and will speak about hydration this and measurement this, and I don't. Never liked math. I'm more, anyways. So I've tweaked this recipe over the years. This is what works for me. It may not work for someone else. I know some people use milk in their recipes. I don't. Again, it's all personal preference. I'm just showing you what works in my house, what is popular, what people rave about. Most people that try my bread love it and want to know how to make it themselves. So let's start with the starter. My recipe starts with 140 gram starter that was fed in the morning, and now it's more than double its size, and it's ready to go. So I'm going to measure 140 grams. Now this container of starter looks pretty gummy at this point, but I've been making bread all week. Okay, that's pretty close. 139. I'm good with that. I always try to keep my rim clean because I don't want to introduce any mold or anything like that. So the next thing we need for my recipe is 245 grams of water. So now I've put another container on. I need to tar my scale to 0. And I'll add 145 grams of water. Now, your water has to be non-chlorinated, clean water. I don't want to introduce anything else into this recipe. It's really fun doing this upside down. I'm way over 264. There we go. Now that can be dumped right into your starter. Now I add butter to my recipe. Some people like adding milk. I just like adding 50 grams of butter. Close enough. I will have the recipe linked below if you want to print it out. That's great. Now for the flour, again, I'm going to tar this to 0. I like a combination. I don't do 100% whole wheat because it's too dense. But I do about 90 to 100 grams of whole wheat. And then the balance is just regular white flour, organic or otherwise, to equal 380 grams. So this gets dumped in here. And then I'll add the butter on top. And now it's ready to go into the mixer.